So when you look at audio, right? So think about audio not as a format, but actually what it means in people's worlds. So for us, right, as human beings, actually audio is the first sense that you get. You hear your mother's heartbeat as your first sense. So we as humans are extremely in tuned to audio.
Hey, hello, and welcome again to another episode of the Now Gen podcast. Audio marketing. It's a very cool topic. Everybody is using it, or at least trying to use it in a way to engage the vast variety of audiences across the globe. And sometimes you get what is called the noise fatigue, and there are challenges about return on investment. There's oversaturation sometimes, and it makes harder for brands to stand out and to choose when to use it and when not to use it. But everybody wants a piece of that pie, right? So, as you know, here at our podcast, we have been known to handle those challenges and bring interesting people, that knowledgeable people that can tell us a little bit more about what their journey has been, and have their experience and use it for future experiences for everybody that is listening to this podcast. And today, I'm very excited and thrilled about introducing to you Grace Kao. She's the global head of business marketing at Spotify. She has a span of 20 years of experience in the marketing field, and companies like Pepsi, PlayStation, and Apple, just to name a few. She has shifted the global marketing strategies from Instagram and Spotify into award-winning campaigns. She has the knowledge that we are seeking today to explore, to get to know more about the audio marketing realm. So please welcome Grace. Thank you so much for being here today in the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Francisco, for having me. Or can I call you Eco?
Eco, please.
Excellent.
Excellent.
It's
Great.
the pleasure is all mine.
So before we start, we're going to play a little game here. We have a challenge with ourselves, right? Because we're the Now Gen podcast, we have the Now Challenge. And that's the one-to-one team. It's going to be listening to this question and answers, very, random, about several things. And by the end of this interview, we will present an image of, and you're going to tell us if we pass the Now Challenge or not, right? So
Sounds good. I
very
am up for
simple
this
things,
challenge.
right? Straightforward. So just tell me whatever comes out of your mind, right? First job.
Oh, teacher.
If you were not a business professional in marketing, you'd be
Sleeping.
hidden talent,
I can speak Mandarin Chinese. I don't know if it's a talent, but I'm proud of it.
guilty pleasure,
Ooh, eating chocolate.
personal hero,
My mom.
favorite brand,
Spotify.
favorite food,
Sushi.
favorite TV series.
Oh my goodness. Game of Thrones.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's it. So let's see at the end of the episode if we did the trick or not. Okay, so before we get deep dive, tell us a little bit about your journey, where you're coming from and where you're at right now, so we can understand that journey that's going to allow you to speak about, the audio marketing world.
Oh yeah. So I started my career on the creative agency side. So I worked at creative agencies. I was very lucky to work at wonderful places from BBDO, TBWA. And then at one point in my career, I was like, oh my goodness, I would love to go client side. And so from there, I went to Yahoo. And then from Yahoo, I went to Pandora, which is where I fell in love with audio. Then I went to Instagram and had a chance to work on Instagram. And then I was very, very lucky that Spotify called, and now I'm at Spotify.
Oh, lovely. What is it that you're doing right now with Spotify?
I run business marketing, and so that's the B2B side of the house, which means that my job is making sure that marketers and advertisers see Spotify as a great place for them to do great work.
Okay, so and that takes me to my first question. So nowadays, the the need for making fast-paced decision in marketing in today's market, it's kind of a given. How do you and your team prioritize initiatives at Spotify?
Oh, well, I think the way we try to think about it at Spotify is to perhaps not prioritize time, but
Okay.
prioritize your customer's experience. What do your customers value most now? Or what are they hoping to have more of, and make that the priority. So when you make it more about the values of your customer and their needs, that helps us prioritize our work. So, for example, we would have, let's say, AI DJ, right, which is one of wonderful. I hope I can't wait, Francesco, to see what AI DJ on Spotify is recommending to you, or Daylist on Spotify, right? What we try to do is figure out what people's moods are, what they're interested in, and then in that moment serve up what they're looking for, but also provide recommendations. So those are some of our product innovations, but it's really driven by what bring value to our customers.
And so how do you choose not to take decisions that are driven by, possibly a fast reaction to the needing of the customer and without compromising quality?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is not to be in a silo from your customer. I think for us, it's always great to do tests. You don't have to always out on the get-go do a broad-based piece, right? You can test and do pilots and make sure that you continue to get feedback from your customers along the way. I think the other thing would be is not to be afraid to iterate. You may not get everything right, and quite honestly, I don't think every single time you will, but not be afraid to revise and iterate, get feedback from your customers, and continue to improve what you put out there.
Okay, so you have a lot of experience in the business realm, right? So shifting from managing campaigns to brands, and being on the other side in the agency world, and now in the business arena. If I would ask, what is it that Grace brings to the table in order to excel in this world and help brands have a piece of this wonderful world, which is the audio marketing?
Oh, Nico, thank you so much for asking. I think for me, my personal background is as I mentioned, I came from a creative agency background. That was my first job um,
Yeah.
in advertising. And so throughout the years, and then I went to tech, right? And we see all these amazing, wonderful technologies and new tools. We probably can't get through this conversation without mentioning AI at some point, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
know.
but at the end of the day, right, based on all these new technologies and tools, I would say my experience, what I've learned is that it's still about surprising and delighting your customer. It's still about bringing amazing new creative experiences that, as I mentioned before, bring value. And so I think that's one thing I would say, just that there might be all these wonderful, great tools and technologies, and we should definitely leverage them and test them, but don't lose sight at that really you're trying to inspire or educate or bring some sort of value to the customer at the end of the day. So when you look at audio, right? So think about audio not as a format, but actually what it means in people's worlds. So for us, right, as human beings, actually audio is the first sense that you get. You hear
Mm-hmm.
your mother's heartbeat as
Mm.
your first sense. So we as humans are extremely in tuned to audio. And I think that's why it's such an interesting medium and format for us, right? Because there's something very personal and fair and an emotional connection that you can get to audio. Ego, you have a podcast, right? Because you can actually have this authentic connection through audio. And so we've seen that power come through from not only podcasts, but also music. But I think it is grounded in this sort of innate human part of us that connects us to audio. So one of the trends that we see on Spotify is because audio is so ingrained, music plays such a almost daily companion to everybody's life, right? We probably listen to audio the first thing in the morning. We learned that Spotify is the number one home screen app, and probably you listen to it throughout the day and at night. And so the way to think about audio is that it is a daily companion throughout the day that you can touch your customers in various ways and in various moods. So whether it's driving to work, picking up the kids, working out, getting my confidence boost before joining this podcast with you. Um, think of think of music, think of podcasts, think of audio as a format of how you can entrench people throughout the day.
Yeah, the way I see audio marketing is it's a challenge for. So, for example, if you go to any food brand that says, "Hey, I want a piece of that," how can they even start to even integrate some kind of a strategy to put in their budget audio marketing? How does that work?
How does that even? Oh my goodness, food is actually a great one. We have we know that music actually enhances taste, right? And we also know that podcast is also a form of information where people learn. So I think for the first thing to think about is again, how can food? We'll take an example like Oreo and Coke. Those are two great brands that we've done just a recent great campaign. And what they did is they centered around the fact that their brands and their food bring people together and bring connections. And so Spotify became a perfect example of that. And so they had this great campaign called Besties, right? Just like Oreo and Coke are besties. And the whole campaign was centered around what is the sound of your friendship? And so they would ask, what is your bestie's favorite song? What is your bestie's favorite karaoke song? And then Coke and Oreo would come together and bring a playlist on Spotify that represents that friendship. And so I would say it all comes down to, again, what your brand, if you're a food brand, what you stand for, and then how can audio enhance that experience. For Oreo and Coke, it was friendship, but it could be anything from like getting ready for dinner, or even if you are a fast food brand, getting ready to have sounds that actually stimulate and inspire hunger. We've seen all of that be very effective for our customers on our platform. And I think now we also have this great product called Quick Audio. So it's actually very easy to create audio ads on our platform as well.
Yeah, the challenge would be to getting used to generating content in order to make it, because like everything else, it's putting content out there and making sure that the audience is listening and listening and listening and bringing quality content to that, right? So I know that you transformed the way the industry, you kicked some brands out there that I don't want to mention out of the market and became the preferred music source for a lot of us as users, right? And I know that you've been exploring as a consumer, not as a professional. I know this, right? I know that you guys are excelling and trying to be there in getting more connecting audio and video and trying to make sure that you guys lead in that, right? And connecting audio and storytelling also, right? So to become that dominating voice in the audio plus other different areas. Tell me, how is that presented a challenge for you as a company? I mean, the stock, it's booming. It's like out there. It's everybody's loving your brand. You're like a power brand at the moment. So, what is the competitive, landscape look like right now? With you trying to take all the leaders in different industries that you're now trying to be part of.
I think for us as a company, we have innovation as part of our DNA. So for us, I think we're mostly motivated again on bringing great experiences, great music experiences, great podcasts, great audio content onto our platform. So for us, it's still about just making sure that we provide a great place for consumers, as well as brands to come on our platform. And so I think what you see in terms of video, a lot of it is that we've heard feedback from our consumers that they actually do love video content. And so we've had double digit growth in seeing that when people,
Really?
when it comes to podcasts, the double digit growth is that they actually like video with the podcast because they like to see the facial expressions of the guests or even the podcasters themselves. And I think so. A lot of it is actually taking feedback from our consumers and making sure we adapt and continue to innovate and bring great experiences, what they love about Spotify, but also improving on things that they want more of from us.
Yeah, and how do you accommodating that? So, for example, I more or less have here some kind of a background, and I use my computer, and that's it. Are you guys like entertaining more the idea of come to our studio and you can record here or something like that, or not? Just
Yeah,
how are
I mean,
you?
we do have Spotify Studios as an offering for if you have podcasts. We also have Creative Lab, which is our own in-house creative end-to-end solution. So you can come and work with our creative strategists of how to come
Okay.
and create great campaigns that also imbues insights of trends that we see on our platform. And we also have our own creative production that also can help brands create ads as well.
Awesome. So if there's an agency, a travel agent or a network of
Yeah.
agency, and they want to like, yeah, let's start with this, and they want to like really instead of going, are there agencies out there, advertising agencies that specializes in this, or can you do like one on one and helping people to grow that kind of a need because it
Yeah.
sounds attractive.
We do. So Creative Lab, as I mentioned before, is open to anyone who wants to come and strategize and create and develop work. Again, we provide end-to-end production. We also have our third-party preferred network that we can also refer clients to if they want to work with someone outside, but is has understands our platform really well. And as I mentioned before, we also have our quick audio, which is more our self-serve function as well. So you can actually just log on to Quick Audio through Ads Manager and also create ads yourself.
Okay, and so I go there. You tell me how to do it, or
Yeah.
you take me with the hand. So how can I evolve into this new audio marketing?
Mhm.
And what would you say for me as a brand? How would I measure if I'm doing the right thing? What would be my KPI in order to see that I'm doing a good job? And I'm evolving as an audio marketing strategy to to get more reach out of my current audience.
Yeah, I think for us, it would really depend. Like we want to meet you where you are, right? I think for us is we see us providing solutions for you as a customer, what you're trying to solve. So I would say that it would be your KPIs have to be front and center, and then we will have measurement solutions to help show how we are contributing to your KPI.
Okay, great. You were mentioning before, I have here a question written that you guys, innovation is at the core of your DNA, right?
That's right.
How do you manage just, you know, expanding and but again, focusing in the core values and culture of Spotify?
Yeah, I think for us, it isn't a balance because innovation is in our DNA, and so I think there's always no shortage of great ideas that come out of my marketing teams or from our clients. I think for us, a lot of what our approach is of how we focus on innovation is to continue to try things. I think it's important to test. I think it's important to continue to get feedback from your customers. I think for us, if we aren't innovating, I don't think that would be Spotify at all, because I think that is part and ingrained in our culture.
Okay, globalization. In a world that sometimes brands have a footprint in different, markets, even if it's Latin America or Europe, there are differences in each market. And so how do you, is there such an important thing as localization, and how brands can, use this medium but not have to create all the different messages for the different regions instead of just generating more? What kind of, how would you recommend a brand should approach this kind of localization in the same language even?
Yeah, I think for us, it is very important for us to be local first. I think that there are important nuances across different regions that need to be acknowledged. I mean, we see that in popular music tastes or what we see in popular podcasts per se. And so we do approach where that we have local offerings and local solutions where you can work with local insights managers as well as local creative strategists and production to help create work that is very applicable, relevant, and resonant with your local markets. I think this is the beauty of audio because it is easier to create content than perhaps a big TV spot or whatnot. And I think that offers up more flexibility for clients to think about audio as well.
Gotcha. So yeah, so personalization is always and has to be
Always.
always to in
Correct.
audio marketing.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. And if I were to ask you for our listeners, what is the one challenge and the one recommendation that you think a brand typically has in order to implement audio marketing in their strategy?
I think where maybe the challenge is that people think, oh, I don't have these assets, or I don't have these formats, or I don't know anything about audio. And I think my challenge back to people who are like, I don't know enough about it, I think would be actually you know more than you think. I think everyone has music in their lives right now. And I think when you look at the trends of where people are finding news and entertainment, podcasts are rising to places that people seek news and connection and community. And so I would say that audio is actually very familiar. It's been around, it's been in our lives, it's been in your customers' lives. And so not to be afraid that you actually know more about it than it is. And so the one thing we would say at Spotify to offer is that it's easy to make assets, it's easy to create content, and it's easy to test. So for us, it's more like just add us to your mix and try us and pilot, and you'll see the benefits.
Okay. And having that in mind, it's going to be, resilient of every brand to keep pushing and trying to push like any other marketing
Yeah,
channel that they would have to include, like billboards traditional or guerrilla marketing, whatever. You don't do it once and that's it. You have to push yourself to do it and do it and do it. And
yeah,
after doing it a lot, then you will have to then define the KPIs, like you were saying, in the center and across the different goals that you have for your brands, and then keep measuring and testing and doing it again and testing and adopting it, right?
that's correct. And I think one of the challenges all of us marketers are dealing with is the fact that people's attention spans are short, right? So it's almost, if you have someone's attention and their time, you need to hold it precious and make it worthwhile. And I think this is something where Spotify we're really proud of is that people spend over 2 hours of their time with us every single day. So it just goes to show that we are a place where consumers are finding value and finding time. And I think it's a great opportunity for brands to also connect.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you so much, Grace, for sharing that. So, before we end this interview, I have a promise to show you the
I can't
challenge.
wait. I would love
And
to see
you,
yours, Eco, actually.
oh my God, you don't want to see it. You don't want to see it. But
I
let's
do.
first see if we pass the test with you.
All right,
Okay,
let's do
so drum rolls. Show it, please.
it. Oh my goodness! Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, it's well, everything, of course, is done by AI, as you can see, and it's just a key visual that represents, and it's a thank you from the team
Oh,
at One to One to for you to participate in this podcast and sharing your experience with us. So the team will share it with you, and I'm glad that we passed the Now Challenge. Thank you so much for that.
oh, thank you so much, Eco. Thank you for your entire team. It was a pleasure for us. Thank you so
No,
much.
no, thank you. Where can people reach out to you? Is LinkedIn a good
Yes,
medium?
yes, absolutely. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, and I look forward to talking to you again, Eco.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Grace, and for all the audience out there. Thank you for being here in this episode at the Now Gen podcast. We've been talking to Grace Kao. She's the global head of business marketing at Spotify. And stay tuned. Remember, we have the best sharing what the now generation and instant gratification market out there is demanding from the brand. So join us the next time. Thank you so much.